So Passover begins on Monday night, and today, this Shabbat, tonight and tomorrow, is a special Shabbat, Shabbat Hagadol, the great Shabbat. It comes, the Shabbat right before Passover. And there's a customary greeting in some Sephardic communities where we say Shabbat Hagadol Mevorach. Shabbat Hagadol Mevorach, a blessed Shabbat Hagadol. You can go ahead and say that to each other. Shabbat Hagadol Mevorach. There you go. Blessed Shabbat Hagadol. It's already special because it's Shabbat, but it's Shabbat Hagadol, a big one, a big Shabbat. In traditional communities, the rabbi spends several weeks educating the community on the different halacha, the laws of Pesach, as people do their preparing and then entering into the festival and come to the rabbi with questions. And this community here, we are doing our preparing, and I have to say that this is the most questions that I have received as a rabbi in preparation for Passover. And in our preparing and getting ready this year, the questions that people are coming to me with are about the Seder itself. Less about how much of the wine or juice we need to drink in order for it to be a full cup, but if you're wondering, it's about 2.5 to 3 ounces, and you need to drink the majority of the cup, so if you want to drink less, have a smaller cup. And it's more about the dynamics of the Seder itself, with family and friends at this time of incredible grief and fear and despair. Incredible grief and fear and despair. I'm saying it on purpose that way, that it is grief and fear and despair. And a reminder, as I have to remind myself all the time, when people are parsing specific words and the rigidity of you said this or you did not say that, and underneath it is this tremendous powerlessness, desire to make this all better because it is so overwhelming and so awful. So as rabbis have for centuries on this Shabbat Hagadol, I want to engage in this practice tonight with you of turning to an ancient text that discusses Passover to connect to this moment we are in. So the text we are going to be inside of tonight is the Mishnah. And the Mishnah began its formation conversations between this new group that was calling itself rabbis around 70 CE. That was the new group in 70 CE. There was lots of groups, but this group made it. And it ended around 200. And these conversations are in the Mishnah. And if we look at Mishnah Pesachim, chapter 10, we find this. First, we're told not to eat matzah during the afternoon, saving our appetite until the Seder. And we learn from a 16th century commentary that if we would eat matzah too early, we don't want to do that. We want to have an appetite in order to have a sense of the hidur mitzvah, the beauty of the mitzvah of eating a matzah, which really struck me. Like, where is she going with this? Usually hidur mitzvah is like have a beautiful thing, right? Like have a beautiful havdalah set and beautiful candle holder for like Hanukkah or Shabbat, because that makes it more beautiful. But this is about tasting and eating and our bodies. So it's an idea that there is beautification inside our experience of tasting this bread of affliction for the first time. There is a sense that the matzah can be transformative, so we must wait until it is time. And then it goes on to talk about the pouring and the drinking of the 4 cups. And it goes to the second cup, into the part where we're going to tell the story. And here it says that the child asked their parent the questions, and about what all this is about. And if the child does not have da'at, does not have the knowledge, then the parent teaches the child. And what are the questions? Ma nishtana halayla hazeh. Oh, it turns out you guys know some Mishnah. These are the very questions that we chant on Passover. Ma nishtana halayla hazeh mikol halaylot. How is this night different from all other nights? The ritual of Passover is focused on questions and discussion. We learn again and again in the Mishnah that this whole event is about discussing, teaching, learning. It is creative pedagogy. It is eating the story so we learn the story. It is questioning ourselves and each other. And this is the year where everybody is wondering, how are we going to do that? How are we going to have a Seder that is open for questions and discussion and listening and learning and expressing honestly and with compassion at this difficult time? There is so much for us to talk about right now. We need Passover right now as a people. We need to be talking to each other. And yet, some of you might be thinking, is she crazy? No, well, maybe. I mean, that's another conversation. This is a time to talk around the table, to question and to listen to each other, and maybe to challenge each other to learn and to grow. This is exactly what this is about. It's not like, oh no, this is going to distract from our Seder. This is the Seder. This is it. And I know that it's hard. Many of you have expressed concern about how these conversations are going to go because they have not been going well lately. You've shared with me how you have friends who you are no longer speaking to. You've shared with me that you can't quite talk to your kids or you can't talk to your parents. So the first place is to embrace that questions and discussions are at the heart of the Seder and of this week and of this festival. Intention, kavanah, is so important here. This year, knowing that we want the Seder to be a place of questions and conversations, it's important that you frame that in advance. If you're the host of the Seder, I suggest sending out a note after Shabbat, letting people know your frame. Here at Nefesh, we have been engaged in ongoing conversations, deep, honest conversations with each other. And if you haven't joined us yet, we really hope you will. Another one is coming up in May. And in our conversations, here's our intention. We're elevating curiosity, compassion, and courage. Sakranut, rachamim, and ometz lev. And if you want, I was thinking you could make little place cards that you put on every plate. Compassion, curiosity, courage. Maybe even big signs that you put all around the house, in the bathroom, in the kitchen. Can't have too much intentionality right now. The organization Interfaith America shared a statement. Thank you, Interfaith America, knowing that you could help us right now. And it said, starting with the Seder this way, our intention, this is an invitation to the host, to say our intention is to take seriously the things that others hold dear. If it matters to you, then it will matter to us. We are not here to convince anyone that they are wrong or change them. We are curious why people think the way they do. Rather than we are not diminished by listening carefully to ideas we might disagree with. We trust that we are enhanced by it. We believe there is more common ground in experience than we anticipate, and when there isn't, we can fundamentally disagree with someone and still respect and even love them. On Thursday night, some of us gathered together with Dr. Kathy Simon to talk about this very thing in a workshop. It was a beautiful gathering Thursday night, as in last night. And she suggested beginning with this statement. Our purpose here is to dig into the enduring themes of Passover, which explore personal and collective liberation, the nature of peoplehood, our responsibility to others, our relationship with the divine. In this context, we want to open up dialogue about what it is like to be each of us right now in this post-October 7th world for us to reflect and learn to get together and connect with each other. Even though we differ, we can still hold each other with care and warmth. With care and warmth. And our conversation might also lay groundwork for more learning, more conversations, and other actions. More learning, more conversations, and other actions. You may notice a theme in both of these statements. The intent is not about everybody needing to agree. It is about making sure that we listen to each other and, importantly, that we are willing to be courageous in sharing what we feel, experience, and believe, and why. You will notice that I said the listening part first. And they are both important, and in fact, the order matters. Our willingness to listen is one of the most important life skills we'll need, no? One of the most important life skills. Did anybody take Listening 101 in school, elementary school, junior high, high school? Maybe some of you who went to cool colleges took it in college. But we don't get taught listening. Oh my gosh, we really need it right now. The question Kathy was encouraging us to think is, what is the speaker feeling and what matters to them? What is the speaker feeling and what matters to them? And when we listen, we can say, I heard what you said. I think I heard what you said, and tell them what we heard. And then the next question here, the profound question, the question that basically none of us ever ask when we're hearing somebody who's saying something different than we want to hear is there more? Is there more? No. Usually when somebody is saying something we don't want to hear, we're like, just let them stop quick, so I can say the next thing. Or I can walk away, or I can shut down, or I can say, that's it for you. Not, is there more? I'm going to hear what you have to say, share back to you. Is this what you were concerned? Are these your concerns? Is there more? Because when people feel heard, not always, but most times they're willing to listen. And what we're not getting right now is spaces where people feel heard. Because right now there's a particular dynamic where when somebody says a particular idea or phrase, we jump into what we feel they are missing. You said this, but you didn't say that, so I have all kinds of ideas about who you are. Or you said that, but you didn't say this, so I have a lot of ideas about who you are. What's painful right now is what's missing. And I want to say again, I'm not saying that we don't say what's missing. We need to be courageous to say it. But we do it after listening a lot and asking, is there more? That might mean we need to tell our bodies to breathe. We may even need to take a walk. It's a full moon on Passover. It's a beautiful night to go outside. And come back. And then when we've listened, we may say, would you be willing to hear my perspective? Would you be willing? I'm wondering, would you be open to hearing my perspective? There are some situations, just to say, where it might not be a good time to do that. It's not a safe place, or it could cause a total rupture in the relationship that you may not want to risk. But in most situations, it's important to ask to be heard in your perspective. You might not be the host, I want to say that. So you're in a Seder where nobody set up any intentions. There's no little placards talking about compassion and courage and curiosity. And you may feel alone. And in this place of courage, I want to invite you to say, I'm hearing that there's a lot of one perspective, and I'm wondering if you would be willing to hear me. Asking before you say it really does help people hear you. That's that fabulous idea of consent. You might have heard about it. Do I have permission, consent to say something? They may be honest with you and say no. But likely, they will open to what you want to say. There is so much in this Seder. It talks about oppression and slavery and fear and risk and courage. It talks about all who are hungry and should come and eat at times when people are starving. Death, suffering, separated loved ones for so many months, destruction, hunger, violence, looming threats of even more violence. There is so much that is alive, and there is so much alive in the Seder. And we can reflect on all of this honestly with care and our willingness to both listen to someone and to courageously share our experience and our perspective. So this last line of this section of the Mishnah says that the parent who is doing the teaching begins with disgrace, degradation, and concludes with glory and praise. From genut to shevach, to praise, shevach. That's the hallelujah part of your Seder, which you might not know about because it happens after dinner. But there is a whole bunch of hallelujahs, which also might be very hard to feel right now. There are hallelujahs, many of them, praise inside of our Seder. So, for this last piece, how do we do that? How do we do a hallelujah right now? How do we arrive from the awful into a hallelujah? My invitation to you is that we get there through what we just shared with each other earlier this evening. Places of awe. There is a researcher at UC Berkeley, Docker Keltner, who has done research on awe. And I just have to say I have a particular love when researchers and scientists get into ancient spiritual things like awe. And they found like, wow, it's powerful, man. It's like, yes, it is. And he has done a lot of research on awe, and one of them was a research study that he did with Jonathan Haidt, where they asked people all over the world, really, really all over the world, collecting 2,600 stories with this definition. Awe is the feeling of being in the presence of something vast that transcends your current understanding of the world. Awe is the feeling of being in the presence of something vast that transcends your current understanding of the world. Yira is how we talk about it. One aspect of Yira in our tradition. So out of all of these stories gathered from really all over the world, what do you think was the most common experience of awe that people shared? That's it, stories of kindness and courage. The number one story shared, cross-culturally, all kinds of different settings. Stories of kindness and courage. Probably want to know the other ones. There was 8 most. Those stories, collective effervescence, which we're doing here, everybody. That's number 2. Nature, music, visual design, spirituality, which is all of it. I just would like to, I can't wait for that conversation with him. Life and death and epiphany, ahas. There are some other things in the other categories, like incredible flavors, video games, overwhelming sensations, and first experiences of sex. But those 8 are the big 8, and the first one is stories of courage and compassion. Watching Nachshon walk into the waters as we were on the edge of the sea, leaving Mitzrayim, inspired awe to make us feel that it was possible. Your words, your actions of kindness and courage can inspire others around you, and that is how we are going to get to hallelujah. So one practice during Passover is to look out for it everywhere. Look for people's kindness and courage everywhere. And if you can't find it near you, look it up. That's a positive use of the internet. All you do is type in kindness and courage. I think you're going to be all right in your searches. Although, I don't know. Sometimes you put something in, and how did it get there? Things that are not kind or courageous. And these algorithms, they freak me out. I can tell you in just 1 week, I saw a woman stumble on the street and somebody rushed to help her. I got an email from a rabbi who is there's a group of people creating a reordination ceremony ritual for those who had someone who signed their ordination certificate who was a sexual abuser. Someone shared with me the loving courage of their partner to step in immediately and clearly to get them an emergency situation what they needed. My son and a group of others are asking an organization to actually stand for the Jewish values it says it embodies. Acts of kindness and courage, look for it. Look for them everywhere, all the time. May this be a practice you can start this Passover and then let it continue. And that is how we get to hallelujah. May you listen deeply and share compassionately and courageously what needs to be heard this year. May you witness with awe the kindness and courage all around you. And may we all, please God, go from degradation, from genut l'shevach, from awfulness to hallelujah. Azizim Pesach, Shabbat Shalom.
Wade in the water, wade in the water, children, wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the water. See that band all dressed in white, wade in the water. They look like the children of the Israelites. God's gonna trouble the water.
See that band all dressed in red, wade in the water. Must be the children that Moses led. God's gonna trouble the water.
See that band all dressed in black, water. They came a long way and they're not turning back.